Welcome to Galactic Safety Briefing 7B, Death Worlds and How to Avoid Them. Chirped the holographic instructor, its 6 appendages gesturing frantically at a slowly rotating image of a blue-green planet. Today's lecture focuses on Classification Death World 3, known to its inhabitants as Earth, and why its territorial waters have been designated as maximum extreme hazard. Do not approach under any circumstances. The classroom of various alien diplomats shifted uncomfortably in their ergonomic hover couches. One brave Velutarian raised a tentacle. Yes, Ambassador Gloop. I thought humans were classified as merely dangerous but reasonable following the diplomatic integration of 2087. The instructor's photoreceptors blinked in what passed for a condescending smile. Precisely correct. A bear. The humans themselves are Category 3 threats, unpredictable and occasionally violent, but generally willing to trade snack foods and streaming services for advanced technology. It's not the humans we're warning about today. The hologram zoomed dramatically into Earth's vast oceans, which shimmered an innocent blue. It's what lives in their water. A collective gasp rippled through the classroom as the image shifted to footage of sleek grey forms cutting through waves. Before we proceed, the instructor continued, I must advise any Zorblaxian delegates to excuse themselves, as this presentation contains historical content that may cause severe emotional distress to members of your species. 3 purple-skinned aliens hurriedly exited, muttering about unfair historical characterization, and it wasn't our fault. For the rest of you, this briefing will explain the incident that resulted in the Galactic Council's total ocean embargo of Earth. An unprecedented security measure enacted after what historians now call the Dolphin incident. The hologram shifted to display classified footage of a massive battleship listing heavily to one side, surrounded by eerily organized patterns of fins breaking the water's surface. What you're about to learn is why, despite Earth having joined the galactic community 15 solar cycles ago, no alien species has entered their oceans since Admiral Krell's ill-fated invasion force discovered that humans aren't the apex predators on their planet. The instructor's voice dropped to a dramatic whisper, not even close. Supreme Admiral Vrex Krell stood on the command deck of the Zorblaxian flagship Inevitable Conquest, his forearms crossed in various configurations of impatience. Through the view screen, the blue-green planet grew steadily larger. Status report, he barked, causing his first officer to nearly drop her datapad. All 75 warships in position. Admiral, replied Commander Thrix. Earth remains unaware of our presence thanks to our cloaking technology. Krell paced the deck, his exoskeleton clicking against the polished metal floor. Excellent. And our intelligence? The ship's intelligence officer, Lieutenant Zorn, stepped forward nervously. Sir, our reconnaissance confirms that humans have limited space defense capabilities. However, I should note that the Galactic Council has categorized Earth as a challenging conquest, yes, Krell interrupted with a dismissive wave of his upper right arm. I've read the reports. Blah blah surprisingly resilient, blah blah unexpected resourcefulness. Every inferior species gets the same bureaucratic classification when the Council wants to avoid conflict. Actually, sir, Zorn persisted, sweating profusely from his cranial vents. The warnings were quite specific about avoiding their oceanic regions. There were several mentions of an incident involving something called dolphins that. Lieutenant, the Zorblaxian Empire has conquered 37 worlds in the past decade alone. Are you suggesting that some aquatic mammals pose a threat to our armada? Krell's mandibles clacked menacingly. No, Admiral, but... because that would be absurd. Yes, Admiral, but the Council specifically. Enough. Krell slammed a fist onto his command console. The Council is full of cowards who fear conflict. That's why we're doing this quietly before Earth's formal admission ceremony next month. We'll establish dominance first, then negotiate from a position of strength. Commander Thrix, who had served under Krell long enough to recognize the futility of arguing, merely asked, What is your command, Admiral? Krell's compound eyes gleamed with anticipation. Begin Phase 1. Send diplomatic shuttles to their major government centers to distract them. Meanwhile, I want our primary invasion force to target these large oceanic expanses. He pointed to the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans on the holographic display. Most of their population centers are coastal. We control their waters. And we control their civilization. Sir, Zorn tried one last time. Perhaps we should at least review the file on the Dolphin incident. The what incident? Krell sneered. Listen to yourself, Lieutenant. You're afraid of fish. Mammals, actually, Zorn muttered. What was that? Nothing, sir. Entei. As the Zorblaxian fleet moved into position, the communications officer announced, incoming transmission from Earth's United Nations Secretary-General. Put it through, Krell ordered, adjusting his ceremonial armor and preparing his rehearsed speech about Zorblaxian superiority. The view screen flickered to life, showing Secretary-General Diana Rodriguez looking remarkably unimpressed. This is Secretary-General Rodriguez to the approaching alien fleet. You realize we can see you, right? Cloaking technology doesn't work when you've got 75 ships the size of Manhattan creating wakes in our oceans. Krell blinked in surprise. This wasn't how first contact intimidation usually went. I am Supreme Admiral Vrex Krell of the Zorblaxian Empire, he announced grandly. We have come to. Yeah, conquer Earth, subjugate humanity. We've heard it before, Rodriguez interrupted, examining her fingernails. Look, I'm legally obligated to warn you to stay out of our oceans. Krell was momentarily speechless. Finally, he spluttered. You dare to dictate terms to the mighty Zorblaxian Empire? Rodriguez shrugged. Not dictating, just warning. As required by Galactic Council Interspecies Fairness Regulation 5289B, I am officially informing you that entering Earth's oceans with hostile intent will likely result in your complete destruction. We filed the proper notification forms and everything. Your primitive weapons are no match for our battleships, Krell scoffed. Oh, we're not going to fight you, Rodriguez replied with an unsettling smile. But they might. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving a confused Krell staring at his equally bewildered officers. It's preposterous bluffing, Krell declared after a moment, with the oceanic deployment. Let's show these humans who they're dealing with. Dr. Marcus Finn stood on the observation deck of the UN Marine Research Platform Atlantic 7, watching through high-powered binoculars as the enormous alien vessels descended into the choppy waters 50 miles offshore. They're actually doing it, he muttered, half amazed and half terrified. After all our warnings. Beside him, General Laura Hayes of the United Earth Defense Force checked her watch. How long do you think they'll last? Hard to say, Marcus replied. Depends on their hull strength and how annoyed Flipper gets. You mean High Commander Echo? Hayes corrected him with the barest hint of a smile. Right, sorry. Still getting used to the official titles. Their conversation was interrupted by a junior officer rushing onto the deck. Doctor. General. We're getting a request for a secure communication channel from underwater. Hayes nodded. Put it through to the main screen. The massive display on the wall flickered to life, revealing what appeared to be a sophisticated underwater command center. At its center, floating in a specially designed water tank equipped with various mechanical interfaces, was a bottleneck-nosed dolphin wearing what looked like a small, advanced headset around its melon. Greetings, General Hayes, Dr. Finn. The Dolphin's translated voice came through with perfect clarity. This is High Commander Echo of the Atlantic Defense Coalition. I trust you've noticed our visitors. Hard to miss, Commander, Hayes replied. The Secretary-General delivered the required warning, but they've chosen to proceed with their oceanic invasion anyway. The Dolphin made a series of clicks that the translator didn't bother interpreting, but which sounded suspiciously like laughter. Typical surface dweller arrogance, Echo said. No offense intended, of course. None taken, Marcus assured him, still marveling at the surreal nature of these conversations, even after 3 years of being the human liaison to Earth's cetacean civilization. It had been the discovery of the century when, shortly after humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council, Earth's dolphins and whales had revealed their true intelligence. For millennia, they had hidden their advanced civilization beneath the waves, developing technologies uniquely suited to their aquatic environment while observing humanity's tumultuous rise with cautious interest. Their revelation had come only when humans had proven themselves capable of joining the galactic community. The cetaceans had decided it was finally time to show themselves as Earth's other intelligent species. The shock had been profound, but relations had gradually developed into an uneasy alliance. "We'd been tracking their vessels since they entered the solar system," Echo continued, as several other dolphins swam purposefully behind him in what was clearly a military command center. "They're deploying in standard Zorblaxian conquest formation, consistent with the intelligence the Galactic Council provided about their previous campaigns." "What are your intentions, Commander?" Hayes asked, though she already knew the answer. "The Aquatic Defense Treaty is clear, General," Echo replied. "Any hostile force entering Earth's oceans will be considered a mutual threat. We will respond accordingly." Marcus stepped forward. "Commander, perhaps we should attempt one final diplomatic." "The time for diplomacy ended when they entered our waters without permission," Echo interrupted. "Admiral Krill." "Krell," Marcus corrected. "Whatever." He was warned. "We've activated our defense systems and deployed our rapid response units. The Orca Heavy Tactical Division is already in position around their flagship." Hayes nodded grimly. "We'll maintain surface monitoring and provide any support needed." "That won't be necessary," Echo replied confidently. "Just keep your ships and submarines clear of the engagement zones. We wouldn't want any confusion during the operation." The screen split to show a tactical display of the Atlantic Ocean, with red dots representing the alien vessels now submerging at various points. "They think they're being clever by hiding in our domain," Echo said, a note of what could only be described as dolphin amusement in his translated voice. "It's time they learned why the Galactic Council added that special appendix to the Earth classification report." "Good hunting, Commander," Hayes said formally. As the communication ended, Marcus turned to the General. "Should we alert the Secretary General?" Hayes checked her watch again. "Give it about 20 minutes. Then we'll probably be reporting on the outcome, rather than the beginning of hostilities." "The poor bastards have no idea what they're swimming into, do they?" "Not a clue," Hayes replied. "Did you know that before the Dolphins revealed themselves, they'd already sunk 17 human submarines over the decades? The ones that got too close to their hidden cities. They made each one look like accidents or mechanical failures." Marcus stared at her in shock. "That's not in any briefing I've received." Hayes smiled grimly. "Need to know, Doctor. And now, you need to know why we take the Dolphin Alliance very, very seriously." Admiral Krell stood triumphantly as his flagship, the inevitable Conquest, submerged beneath the Atlantic Ocean's choppy surface. The massive vessel, 1,200 meters of Zorblaxian military superiority, descended with barely a sound thanks to its advanced propulsion systems. "Perfect deployment," he announced to his bridge crew. "Status of the fleet." "All vessels reporting successful submersion. Admiral, Commander Thrix confirmed. Weapons systems active and scanning for targets." Krell rubbed his primary hands together gleefully. "Excellent. The humans have no significant underwater defenses, according to our intelligence. We'll establish our oceanic strongholds and emerge near their major cities for the final phase." Lieutenant Zorn cleared his throat nervously. "Sir, our sensors are detecting unusual activity approximately 2 kilometers off the starboard bow. They define unusual, Lieutenant. Organized movement patterns, sir. Definitely not random marine life." Krell waved dismissively. "Probably primitive human submersibles coming to investigate. Target and destroy any that approach." "Sir," the sensor officer interrupted. "The readings are multiplying. I'm now detecting hundreds of organized formations surrounding our fleet. They appear to be dolphins." "Dolphins?" Krell scoffed. "The aquatic mammals mentioned in those ridiculous warnings?" Before anyone could respond, the communications console erupted with incoming signals. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission. from the Dolphins. The bridge fell silent as Krell slowly turned to face the communications officer. "You can't be serious." "The signal is being broadcast on all standard Galactic Council frequencies, sir." After a moment of stunned silence, Krell nodded. "Put it through." The main view screen activated to show what appeared to be a dolphin wearing some kind of technological apparatus around its head. "This is High Commander Echo of the Earth's Cetacean Defense Force to invading Zorblaxian fleet. You have entered protected waters against explicit warnings. Power down your weapons systems and prepare to surface immediately, or we will be forced to take defensive action." Krell stared at the screen, then burst into laughter. "Is this some kind of human psychological tactic, using trained animals to deliver messages?" The dolphin's expression didn't change, mainly because dolphins always look like they're smiling, but the tone of the translated voice cooled noticeably. "This is your final warning, Admiral Krell. The Cetacean Defense Force is an autonomous military power ally to but separate from human governance. We have protected these waters for approximately 50,000 years and will continue to do so. You have 30 seconds to comply." Krell's laughter subsided into chuckles. "Or what? You'll splash us? Commander Thrix, target whatever is transmitting this ridiculous message and fire a warning shot." "Sir, yes sir," Thrix replied, though her hands hesitated briefly over the weapon's console. A concentrated energy beam shot from the inevitable conquest toward the source of the transmission. The view screen showed the beam streaking through the water, and then being absorbed by some kind of shimmering barrier. What the Krell began. 30 seconds have elapsed, the Dolphin announced calmly, commencing defensive operations. The view screen went dark. A moment later, the ship's sensors began blaring urgently. Multiple fast-moving objects approaching from all directions. The sensor officer shouted, "There, they appear to be dolphins, sir, but moving at impossible speeds." "This is absurd," Krell snarled. "Activate full defensive systems and target those creatures." Before his order could be carried out, the ship shuddered violently. "Impact on lower decks," reported the damage control officer. "Hull breach in sections 7 through 9. "How?" Krell demanded. "What weapons are they using?" "Unknown, sir." "The dolphins themselves appear to be, sir. They're encased in some kind of mechanized exoskeletons, like battlesuits designed for cetaceans." Another violent impact rocked the ship. "All vessels reporting similar attacks, Admiral," Commander Thrix announced, her voice tight with panic. "The Glorious Victory and the Unyielding Force are already reporting critical damage." "Impossible," Krell roared. "They're animals." The tactical display showed swarms of dolphins moving in coordinated attack patterns around each Zorblaxian vessel. Some appeared to be firing concentrated sonic weapons, while others were directly ramming the ships with their reinforced exoskeletons. "Sir, we're also detecting larger cetacean species joining the attack," the sensor officer added. "The orcas and sperm whales, similarly equipped with advanced technology." The ship rocked again, more violently this time. "Primary propulsion failing. We're losing depth control." "Get us to the surface," Krell ordered. "All vessels, emergency ascent." "The surface?" Commander Thrix questioned. "But sir, our invasion plan." "Forget the plan. We need to get out of their element." As the inevitable conquest struggled to rise, the view screen activated again, showing High Commander Echo, still looking perpetually pleased with himself. "I should mention, Admiral Krell, that we've taken the liberty of attaching quantum displacement charges to your ship's primary structural support sections. They're set to detonate in approximately 45 seconds. Evacuation pods." Krell screamed. "All crew to evacuation pods." The bridge dissolved into chaos as officers rushed for the exits. Krell shoved his way through the panicking crew, his exoskeleton giving him advantage over the softer-bodied Zorblaxians. The last thing he heard before reaching his personal escape pod was the Dolphin's translated voice, still coming through the ship's speakers. "The Galactic Council will receive our after-action report within the standard reporting period. Have a nice swim, Admiral. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was called to order with the traditional 7-tone harmonic resonance. Representatives from over 300 species filled the great amphitheater, an unusual turnout for what should have been a routine disciplinary hearing. Grand Arbiter Xizix of the Arachnoid Confluence tapped all 8 appendages on the ceremonial gong. This council is now in session to address the formal complaint filed by the Zorblaxian Empire against the planet designated Earth, concerning the destruction of 73 warships and the severe damaging of 2 others. Ambassador Vraxel of the Zorblaxians rose dramatically, his ceremonial armor polished to a blinding shine. Honorable representatives, he began, voice modulator set to righteous indignation, the unprovoked attack on our peaceful scientific expedition is the most egregious. In point of order, interrupted the human representative, Ambassador Jackson Chen. The Zorblaxian fleet was fully armed and had declined multiple warnings before entering Earth's territorial waters. A minor misunderstanding, Ambassador Vraxel countered. Our vessels were merely seeking shelter from a solar microflare, but that is not the issue. The issue is that we were attacked by dolphins, suggested Ambassador Chen helpfully. Yes, dolphins, an undeclared sentient species hiding on Earth. This constitutes a direct violation of Galactic Transparency Statute 37B, which clearly states that all sentient species must be registered with the Council upon first contact. A murmur ran through the assembly. Grand Arbiter Xizix gestured for quiet with 3 of his limbs. Ambassador Chen, how do you respond to this accusation? Chen stood calmly. The Council is reminded that Earth's cetaceans chose to reveal themselves to humanity only after we achieved interstellar contact status. It's as per Council regulation. We filed the appropriate multi-sentient planet documentation within the standard 90-day period following their revelation. Form GL 7783, notification of additional sentient species sharing homeworld, was submitted and acknowledged by this very Council 3 standard years ago. Then why, demanded Vraxel, were we not informed of the military capabilities of these water mammals? I believe, Chen replied, that information was included in Appendix C of Earth's classification file, under special hazard notifications. The same appendix that your Admiral Krell chose to ignore despite multiple warnings. Before Vraxel could respond, the doors to the chamber burst open and a peculiar contraption rolled in. It appeared to be a sophisticated mobile aquarium on a hovering platform. Inside, suspended in water, was a bottlenose dolphin. The Council recognizes Ambassador Clix in Twilight of Earth's Cetacean Alliance, announced the Grand Arbiter. The dolphin's translated voice filled the chamber. Esteemed representatives, I come before you to address this matter directly. For 50,000 years, my kind has evolved alongside our land-dwelling cousins on Earth. While they built civilizations above the water, we built ours below. Fascinating murmurs spread through the assembly. Our technological development took a different path than most species represented here. Rather than conquering our environment, we adapted to it. Rather than building with metal and stone, we harnessed biotechnology and sonic manipulation. Ambassador Vraxel sputtered. This does not excuse the destruction of our fleet. Your fleet? The Dolphin Ambassador replied calmly, entered our sovereign territory with hostile intent after multiple warnings. The recorded communications from Admiral Krell clearly stated conquest objectives. We responded according to the self-defense provisions outlined in Galactic Charter, Section 5, Paragraph 3. But, Vraxel seemed at a loss for words. Perhaps, continued Clix in Twilight. The Zorblaxian Empire was unaware that Earth's oceans have been under cetacean protection for millennia. We have defended them against every threat, including, occasionally, humans themselves. And when humanity finally joined the galactic community, we revealed ourselves as equals and allies. The documentation Ambassador Chen mentioned includes all of this information. The Grand Arbiter consulted a datapad. This appears to be correct. The question before us is whether the response was proportionate to the threat. If I may, interrupted a new voice. All eyes turned to see Admiral Krell himself, one of his forearms in a medical suspension field, being escorted into the chamber. Admiral Krell acknowledged the Grand Arbiter. "The Council will hear your testimony." Krell moved forward slowly, his exoskeleton showing visible signs of repair work. When he spoke, his voice was subdued, a dramatic change from the bombastic commander who had led the invasion. I was wrong," he admitted, causing gasps among the Zorblaxian delegation. "I dismissed the warnings as exaggeration. I believed no aquatic species could possibly pose a threat to our advanced technology." He activated a small projector, displaying footage from his ship's sensors during the battle. "What you see here isn't just an intelligent species defending its territory. It's a civilization that has developed technology perfectly adapted to its environment, technology we couldn't even recognize as such until it was destroying our ships." The footage showed dolphins in what appeared to be form-fitting mechanical exoskeletons, moving with impossible speed and coordination through the water. Their sonic weapons disabled our communications instantly. Their biotechnology-based torpedoes targeted structural weaknesses we didn't know we had. And their coordination. Krell shuddered visibly. They didn't just attack us. They herded us, like predators toying with prey. The chamber had fallen completely silent. "I recommend," Krell concluded, "that Earth's oceans be classified as extreme hazard zone with immediate effect. Not because the cetaceans are unnecessarily aggressive, but because they are perfectly evolved to dominate their environment in ways we surface and space dwellers can barely comprehend." After a long silence, the Grand Arbiter spoke. "Given this testimony and the evidence presented, this council will now vote on the proposed reclassification of Earth's oceans." The vote was unanimous. "And that," concluded the holographic instructor, "is why no species has entered Earth's oceans without explicit permission since the infamous dolphin incident of 2087. The classroom of diplomat trainees sat in stunned silence. Finally, a young Centaurian raised a limb. "But what happened to the Zorblaxians?" "An excellent question. Following the incident, the Zorblaxian Empire signed the first ever interspecies peace treaty with a specific evolutionary branch of another planet's development. The Cetacean-Zorblaxian Accord remains the only treaty in galactic history to be signed between an interstellar empire and a subset of another planet's sentient life." The hologram shifted to show footage of a formal diplomatic ceremony. On one side stood Admiral Krell and various Zorblaxian officials. On the other side, a large water tank contained several dolphins, including one wearing what appeared to be ceremonial ornamentation around its fins. And more significantly, the instructor continued, "This incident reshaped humanity's role in galactic politics. Having two distinct intelligent species evolving independently on the same planet, each with their own unique technological development, made Earth the only documented dual evolution success case in known galactic history." Another student raised a tentacle. "Did the humans know about the dolphins' capabilities before the incident?" "Only partially. Following the cetaceans' initial revelation, humans and dolphins began cautiously sharing knowledge. Humans were granted limited access to underwater cetacean cities, while dolphin representatives began participating in human governance through special accommodations." The hologram displayed images of massive underwater structures that seemed to blend artificial construction with natural coral formations. The alliance has proven remarkably beneficial for both species. Cetacean biotechnology has revolutionized human medicine, while human space technology has allowed dolphins to establish colonies on several oceanic worlds that would otherwise be inaccessible to them. "What about Admiral Krell?" asked another student. "Ah, a fascinating epilogue. Following his testimony to the council, Krell resigned his military commission and, surprisingly, requested permission to establish cultural exchange with Earth's cetaceans, and for the past 15 cycles. He has served as the Zorblaxian ambassador to the Cetacean Alliance and has written several best-selling memoirs including Out of My Depth, A Zorblaxian Admiral's Surrender to Dolphin Superiority, and Why They're Always Smiling, The Secret History of Earth's True Apex Predators." The hologram showed an older Krell floating in a specially designed suit alongside several dolphins, all apparently engaged in some kind of underwater diplomatic ceremony. Which brings us to the most important lesson from this incident. the instructor concluded. Throughout the galaxy, evolved intelligence takes many forms. Some build starships. Others develop sonic manipulation and biotechnology. But regardless of their form or approach, every species deserves respect and careful study before engagement. The instructor's photoreceptors brightened in what passed for a smile. And if you ever visit Earth, remember the universal warning now printed in every galactic guide: never trust a species that has evolved to always look like it's smiling. The class dismissed. As the diplomats filed out, one lingered to ask a final question. Instructor, is it true what they say, that the dolphins actually had underwater cities for thousands of years without humans even noticing? The instructor's holographic form flickered briefly. Indeed. Indeed, which prompts the question that keeps many xenobiologists awake at night. If one intelligent species could evolve alongside humans without detection until they chose to reveal themselves, who's to say there aren't others? The young diplomat glanced nervously at the rotating image of Earth still displayed at the front of the classroom, its innocent-looking blue oceans now seeming far more mysterious than they had just an hour before.